Good turnaround Tuesday, everybody. Hi, Sinatra, Brian, Mugai. Nice to meet you. Welcome to F.A.C.E. Everyone doing okay?
Morning, Dale.
Ryan, how are you?
All good, mate. You?
Pretty good. And Kman around today.
Good morning, Dale.
Good morning.
And Stel. Okay, so let me quote Pipzar yesterday. It's not too late to buy the Aussie. It's still under my average. This could be the beginning of a major move. So nice call, got out Blake, and for it to really turn good. I know a lot of people look at the big round number of 70, but that's also a wedge line and a moving average on the daily, the 50-day. So that would be Aussie's next barrier. And now I want to get to, now that the amateur has spoken, I want to talk to the pros.
Rules me out then, okay?
No, you're one of the three pros that are with me at this instant.
Three Stooges.
Commentary. No, come on, Curly. Come on, buddy. What follow through strength in euro. People getting in front of the ECB are short covering. A lot of people saying 350 to turn good. Think we're going to get there before the ECB?
Sources again. We've had unusually we've had sources stories popping up before the ECB. Oh. Usually they come after.
Yeah.
These ones were a bit flaky. Basically, they said the ECB could discuss 25 or 50 basis point hike at Thursday's meeting. That's like telling us water is wet. But then Bloomberg, it was Reuters first, then Bloomberg rehashed it with their own little spice on it, saying that the ECB is looking at 50 pip hikes in greater detail or something for Thursday. And that got the market running higher. And as usual, we get the traders running from one side of the boat to the other. Now 50 pip expectations have risen, something like 60% or more probability of a 50 pip hike on Thursday, and that's now shifted the risk, the big price risk, to disappointment if they only go 25.
Yeah. So, and I think that technically we'll know between 320, 3.5. The other feature is pound looks like it's trying to come out of this falling wedge right here. So, like I said yesterday, I wouldn't be short this one, and has a chance. So, I mean, has the dollar peaked? That's a rear view mirror call, usually months afterwards. I'd say that you probably want to take out that prior high of 105 before you declare it. And yen, I never catch tops like this that just, grind down like this. So I'm going to go to Kman on what are you thinking here in USD yen?
Yeah, I still got my rangy hat on for now until the Bank of Japan really, and knowing what's going to happen on the ECB really. I've actually tried to buy a little here with a very, very tight stop. It's going to be a short-term trade for now. Has the dollar peaked is a very good question. It always starts with such kind of move, but then very interestingly, DK on our chat was showing something that happened around the turn of the year 2000, and we've had a pretty similar pattern where euro dollar dove under parity and then rallied back up to 103, 104 before starting to fall back down to the 88. Okay, we are not in the year 2000, right? But for the time being, I would say, and there was also this additional comment that Lagarde this morning, to come back quickly on the euro, is trying to get the fragmentation tool done for this meeting. So putting 1 and 1 together, trying to make 3 out of it. Could it be that there is a deal making going on inside the ECB and together with German, Austrian, Dutch government saying that okay, we are going to give in to the hawks and hike 50 BPs, but as a deal, I want to get my fragmentation tool done. Could be, in which case, if we take Nord Stream out of the equation, we might see the euro trade higher, unless Nord Stream goes closed down after the 21st. So yeah, to me, it's really probably big positions being unwound or at least managed. There's been a lot of selling, a lot of dollar buying going on. Those purchases now are being partially unwound, but I'd love to be at the end of the week to really make a judgment on where we are going.
Okay, and F.A.C.E, don't tell me 61.8 retracements don't work. Talked about 84 last week. You know, Ryan was buying it in here. I said when you weren't here, so we were talking behind your back, and I said, I bet Ryan's going to buy it at this 61.8 level, and we're already long. So you took a little heat. Oh, really? Okay. Anyway, that, you know, I think that this is also a good sign for the euro. I mean, this has been working for a long time, and this was a great retracement to buy. Metals don't seem to have much oomph compared to what the currencies are doing, what the euro's doing. They look, you know, like, you know, they've been kind of in a car wreck. But
you know, I was gonna say, Dale, I think that is that's the one thing that really is kind of holding me back. With the dollar at this moment is we're just not seeing any of the precious metals really follow through.
Yeah. So,
and good morning, by the way.
Yeah, good morning, and nice call on Aussie. And
well, thank you.
Yeah, they're definitely quiet, but you know, there's the other side of the equation. Never sell a sleeping market, but you know, this was kind of a car wreck. So still trying to recover from the shock. We should at least get some type of bear market rally in gold with the dollar.
I think so. I think so too. And you know, I've been pretty bullish on silver the last couple of days. You know, unlike Stelios, who's been bullish silver since he was 13 years old. You know,
well, he got some coins at his bar mitzvah.
I'm just right, Stelios. So? If you're here, I'm totally joking.
I am here.
Anyway, no. Jokes aside, though. Silver hit the 618 retracement on a monthly, weekly basis. So that to me is, and then you know, gold's holding above 1700. I mean, it's not like, you know, it's not. I'm just surprised that we haven't seen any like really big reaction yet, which then makes me a little bit nervous about precious metals as it is. And you would have thought in this,
it's going to take out that 1680, Blake, and that'll shake the rest of the bulls out in the gold anyway. You're talking about that 1680 level was pretty big. You know, I'm thinking there might be a scenario that you know, we take out that 1680 level and maybe trade down to 1630. I think that's what Goodburn's looking for. And
you know what, he's been bullish. Peter Goodburn's been. Or is it? Wait, no, Peter. No, I was thinking about Peter. Dang it, I was thinking of somebody else. You were talking about Peter Goodburn, who was just talking to Elliott Waves, right?
Oh, you're thinking about Peter, our buddy that's on CNN.
Bookvar, yeah. That guy's bullish every time you hear him on you know, talking about gold. He's bullish gold for the last.
And this is what Blake is talking about. You know, this, and you know, besides it being 61.8. Look at this green line on the monthly here on silver, Blake. I mean, it's been a pretty important pivot. It's huge. Where it broke out after COVID. So we'll see.
I got one more quick look regarding that. But I wanted to ask Stelios, because you know, you're the perfect person to talk about, you know, this ECB situation. I mean, you're Greek. You guys suck up half the money of the Eurozone, and then Germany's got to pay for it. France has got to pay for it. So what do you feel about, you know, about what Christine Lagarde is going to do? I mean, should she save you guys and totally screw everybody else in the Eurozone? What do you think?
We need more. No,
you need more. Greeks need more. They need more beaches. They need more free money.
I think I think it's a very long conversation, this, because I think fundamentally joining all these countries in one currency is a flawed experiment, and it's going to fail at some point. But
Yes,
given
I agree with
what
that.
we have, I think the ECB should be tightening. End of story. And we've had, yes, there have been a couple of crises. The 2008 crisis affected everybody. We had our own crisis here in Greece in a few years later, but still, we've had a few years now to kind of put things in order, and the government that we have is doing okay. So you know what, tighten conditions and let's see what happens. But they have to do something. They have to, with inflation at 8.5%, they have to be tightening 50s or more than 50. But you know them. If they do 50, it's going to be a miracle. Actually, no, not a miracle. I think they will do, and I've said that for a while now. But they have to act, right? What do you guys think?
Before I want to hear from everybody else, but isn't this a great opportunity for the ECB right now? I mean, while every central bank is aggressively raising rates, I mean, isn't this their like get out of jail free card, like to make a move? I mean, that's what I would think. Ryan, what do you think here?
Yeah,
good morning.
They're still good morning, mate. The window is closing. They should have done this months ago. Let alone, is this the right time?
Sure.
They're well, if you call the Fed behind the curve, these guys weren't even on the same bus. And we're going to have this. Is it 25? Is it 50? What's this fractal? They seem to be more concerned about this bloody fractal than they are about raising the rates that are going to create the spread problems that the fractal's for. I mean, it's bonkers.
Well, I mean, because I see why it's a big deal. I mean, if you're depending on where exactly you live in the Eurozone, and where you're paying taxes, it is a big deal, right? I mean, I understand they need to move rates, but I mean, if you live in Portugal, you probably have a completely different attitude towards who should be paying what than if you live in France. I'm just saying.
Yeah, of course, but that's the Eurozone in a nutshell, isn't it?
Guys, if you want the Eurozone to work, you have to do what the United States have done, which means you have surplus and deficit states, and there's transfer of funds from one to the other. The end.
Yeah,
if you want to do that, if you don't, you can't have everything, right? You can't have a weak currency. The Germans can't have a weak currency and have everything working as it was before. It just cannot be done. So
it'd be quote unquote a fiscal union, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's what has to happen. And by the way, just so you all know, I personally, I think that the Eurozone, I think until they have that, I agree with you, Stelios, it's going to be a failed experiment until that happens. We thought we were one step closer following the pandemic with the Eurozone, having this, whether it was the PEP and, different relief programs that were seen, across the entire Eurozone. I thought it was one step closer, but it's still obviously pretty far off. What do you think, Kman? I mean, you're an observer of the euro and trader of the euro since the inception of the euro, even from a professional standpoint at FX desks. So what do you think about what's happening with the ECB, and what do you think the ECB should do?
Well, I mean, as I've been saying, I think they should do 50. I completely agree. The window is closing, but it's never been as wide open as it is now. They really should do 50. But is it a trade-off with the fragmentation tool? And that remains to be seen on Thursday. Lagarde is trying very, very hard to get it together. Let's say to simplify it, the North is still not happy with the rules. Is the 50 BPs going to be a trade-off for the fragmentation tool? I mean, but I still want to see it happen first, especially with Germany now being under pressure from the energy side. I still want to see it happen.
So I agree with you guys. I think the ECB should make a move at this point. I think you got to start being a little careful with euro longs also. I mean, let's just talk about technicals really quick. Going out to a weekly chart, just so everybody can see this. up until like, earlier this week or last week, we were trading at levels we hadn't seen since 2002. So, these are 20-year lows. The breakdown point, from 2016 was right here, and that is the 103.50 level. We're laser focused on the 103.50 level because it's 2016 lows. It was the post-COVID. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't the post-COVID lockdown lows. Those are right over here. But it was
That's right
the
around
previous...
the Macron election.
Was that it?
Yeah, and it gapped up.
It was. You know what? I was at a no. Was it? Yeah. I was at a baseball game when that happened. That gap is right here. That gap is over here. That was a little bit later. Okay. I know that because I happened to be trading the euro, and I was at a baseball game on a Sunday night when the market opened, and it opened really it gapped aggressively, which I think it was right there. But anyway, it was over the weekend. I do recall that. Because I happened to be trading the euro pretty aggressively at that point, prop trading
from the grandstands.
Yeah, well, I was actually Anyway, but I was proprietary trading. By the way, this is a good segue. If you guys haven't checked out the Trader Funding Program, check it out. Talk about proprietary trading. If you want to trade our money, it's a good way to do that. Because I've done it and I did it for years. So. For a different firm, but now you can trade our money, and you can just figure out how to do it. Just watch this little video down below. That was totally unintended, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. Anyway, what's happening is the euro's coming back up towards the 103.50 level, and the 103.50 level is going to be really critical. And we're only about 100 pips away from there right now. So I think that what happens between now and Thursday is going to be crucially important for the euro. And it goes back to the conversation that we had yesterday. What happens if the ECB raises by 0.5%, and you already have deniers and non-believers, right? How many people right now are going, oh hell no, ECB is not going to be able to do that? Christine Lagarde doesn't have the internal fortitude to actually raise rates and take criticism from Germany and the likes. There's no way on God's green earth she's going to be able to do that. How about if she does that and then the Nord Stream pipeline gets turned on? What do you do with the euro? Where does the euro trade? I'm asking, starting with you, Stelios, where does the euro trade on a 0.5% rate hike and the pipeline getting turned on full capacity by the end of this next week?
We break above 103.5 easily. I could potentially see us trading towards above 104. I think easily.
You know what? That's my 2 cents. We come right back down to this descending trend line, but then a lot of people are going to try to fade it, and then you have to realize it's a false breakdown, and then you have to be really, really careful. So I agree with you. Ryan, what do you think? Where do we trade? 0.5%, pipeline gets turned on.
I think we trade up towards 105.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Kman, what do you think?
I told you, right? I think depending on what happens, it's parity or below or 105.
Okay. And Dale, do you have any opinion here?
Higher.
Okay, so you go higher. Okay, so now let's throw another monkey wrench into the equation going into the, because we're guys, we're traders, guys and gals, we're traders, and we're trying to figure out exactly what we want to do on Thursday. Especially, I'm going to tell you right now, I just pulled my Aussie dollar trade off this morning. If you guys are in the ForexAnalytix chat room, you can go over here to where it says Trades Room, and you can see my open positions. I just closed out my dollar Swiss and my euro dollar that I've been running for the last since a couple of days ago. I just took all that off the table this morning. Still holding some trades. And by the way, if you're trading through the Trader Funding Program, you have access to ForexAnalytix, so you can be in our chat rooms. Like, I just want to show you how active our chat room is really quick. This is the general chat room that I'm going to flip you over to. And this is from when I got up an hour and 15 minutes ago.
A lot of great ideas, Amanda.
Yeah, this is where I said good morning. And it was 4:07 by the time I got my computer on, got my coffee, blah, blah, blah. So it's just over an hour ago. And you can see all the chatting that's been done just in the general chat room. That's not in all the rest of the chat rooms. So when you are trading our money in the trader funding program, you actually have access to our trades, things that we're doing, and it's not going to guarantee you to make you money, but what it will do is it's guaranteed to give you some ideas, right? So I've already taken my euro off, but I want to talk what happens if the ECB raises 0.5% and the pipeline does not get turned on. What do you think happens there? Let's start with you, Stelios. Well, actually, let's start with Stelios. You always get the benefit of the doubt of answering first. So let's start with Ryan. What would you do, Ryan?
I think it will depend on the reason why it's not started. If it's not
well,
started,
let's say it's a mechanical issue, and
yeah,
the parts aren't coming from Canada, and we're talking
if it's starting,
3 weeks from now.
If it's not starting because it's purely down to ongoing maintenance, bits haven't arrived, that sort of thing, fine. I think the market goes nothing to see here. If it doesn't start up because Gazprom are pulling funny cards out the hat, like their force majeure thing we heard the other day, or Russia says we're not switching it back on, any shenanigans like that, the euro is going to get tonked.
Okay, so if you think and that Gazprom just quote unquote asterisk is really Putin, right? I mean, yeah. It is, right? So okay,
yeah, so I just saw a tweet. IMF predicted that unless liquid natural gas was shared and prices were artificially held down, any Russian action to stop supplying Europe would trigger economic contractions from the IMF of more than 5% over the next year in Czech Republic, Hungary, Slovakia, and Italy. I don't know why they're not talking about Germany and the rest of Europe, but they feel those countries will be the hardest hit.
Those guys are always miserable, them IMF lot. International Miserable Fund.
Speaking of miserable,
for that I'm miserable.
Hey, speaking of miserable, I gotta say that I really feel for all of you guys that are dealing with that extreme heat in the UK. It sounds absolutely horrible because we have air conditioning. Every day. We're like, where I live, it's like Dubai maybe, but we have air conditioning units. I know a lot of you guys don't. I'm sure it's absolutely horrendous there. Ryan, Kman, you guys over there. Stelios, I'm even gonna even talk to him. So what do you think, Kman, regarding the euro dollar if we get a rate hike and of 0.5% from the ECB, but Gazprom's like still shut down, and let's say we don't understand why it's not opening, but it's not going to open. What do you do?
But that's the thing. What Ryan said. If it's technical and it will restart, because just one precision. Even if the turbine arrives, it's not a given thing that the gas pipe restarts in a normal fashion come the end of the week. We will have to wait for a little bit. But let's say if it's just a mechanical issue, it may put a brake on the euro, but not really put it down much more. If it restarts later, if it doesn't restart, then I think the 50 BPs will not change much to the euro, and we'll go back down.
Yeah, I think so. I kind of agree. Go ahead.
Nord Stream for me, economically for the eurozone is more important than the ECB raising by 25 or 50 BPs. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. All right. Well, I would actually short the euro as a result. So I would probably sell a rally is what I would be what I'd be thinking here. So and Dale, do you have any opinion on the euro? Are you watching it carefully? What are your thoughts?
Yesterday I thought unless we do close back over 103.50, there's going to be one more shot down in the euro, maybe to 97-ish or something like that, and one more high in the dollar index towards 110 or so.
It's it'll be interesting. I'm like I said, I'm gonna go into the euro now. Obviously, as I've taken profits off the table already, I'm going to go in just kind of with an open mind. But I do think that the 103, 30 to 103.50 level is going to be really critical. And if you look from just a technical, I'm just looking at the charts really quick, and I just want to point something out. So, the euro dollar 618 retracement is going to be the 103.50 level, 103.60 level. You can see it right here. Like if this is that move from 106 down to parity. That comes in at 103.67. So this is all going to be very critical resistance this week. So just realize that whenever you get to a key resistance or support, the way I like to explain it to people is, like let's imagine you're driving down a road. It's just down a road, you're going pretty quick, and then you reach a fork in the road. Well, as you reach a fork in the road, you can either go left or right. But because you're reaching this fork in the road, you got to slow down before you take your left or right turn. So as you're coming into support or resistance, like a really key level, which I believe this is, you got to start to tap on your brakes a little bit. You got to start to take smaller positions. You have to be a little bit more careful because you don't know if we're going to go left or go right. And so that's why I'm saying at this point in time, I went a little aggressive going long the euro this last week, but I just pulled everything off this morning. And now that I have, I'll be tapping the brakes as we come into this key level later this week, because I think it is going to be very, very critical. All right, let's stop with the euro talk here because there are obviously other things happening.
I see Gregor here, Blake. I don't know if he has anything to say.
I have nothing to really say to Gregor. I don't really have an opinion about Gregor. Just kidding, Gregor. Are you here?
He takes too many.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up? I'm listening.
What's going on? Hey, I didn't see you here, so Stelios obviously caught you. But do you have any thoughts about the euro as we head into Thursday? We'd love to hear maybe a quick update before we take a look at
actually,
equities.
well, from an Elliott Wave standpoint, as I shared also in our chat room, well, the reversal from the recent lows on a smaller time frame is in impulsive fashion, and I've been watching this resistance on dollar index as well, and it looks like that everything is trying to play out now with these reversals. And since we have these 5 waves up on the euro, it actually technically suggests that we have reached the bottom. It means that we should climb higher, at least towards 103.60, which was also the low back in June. So I think that there is room for further strength. The support that I would be watching on is around 101.12, around there.
Oh, really?
101.12, yeah.
101.12. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. So let me ask you this really quick, Gregor, because since you're here really quick, do you have any opinions on the S&P? Because the S&P, we held 3750, which was a big deal. It was a big deal because this is a previous 618 retracement. If any of you guys missed that, oops, let me go ahead and grab this really quick. Really big deal. Previous 618, we had a false breakdown, and then we rallied back towards 3,900. I forget what Goldman analyst last week said. We're going to be range bound to between 3,700 and 3,900, which obviously happens to be true right now. But me personally, I'm going to say that we can't stay this tight of a range long, not in this high volatility environment. The question is that I have now is, are we going to break 3,950? Or are we going to resume our downtrend and trade back down towards 3,600? So I personally think we're going to go higher. I think this is a summer of recovery, and we're going to sell into strength going into this fall. I want to sell any move probably above 4,100, maybe closer to 4,200 sometime here in the next few weeks. But what are your thoughts from an Elliott Wave perspective?
Well, we have seen, actually, I'm tracking a complex correction from all-time highs. And if you'll connect the trend line from March of this year with the swing high from June, you will see that market is now retesting this level. So I think that this line can be broken, since the minor drop from end of June to last week lows was clearly in 3 waves. Okay, so there where you have this on the right side.
Oh, over here.
Yeah, that was a minor 3-wave drop. So it actually suggests that we will see more gains from here. And I'm expecting this 4,000 to be retested.
So this would be 1, 2, 3, right?
ABC, yes.
Oh, okay. ABC. Okay, got it. ABC. Okay, and so what are you thinking from here?
I think that from here we started a new leg higher that will extend towards 4,000.
Okay, so 4,000, but you know, I'm thinking that we might go all the way back up towards these levels. So what makes you would you be a seller up at 4,000 then? We're not very far away. I mean,
no, actually that 4,000 it's like key do or die level for bears to stay in play,
Battle
or
zone.
if we see more upside from here. But generally speaking, I'm expecting a major support down here to build in through the summer. So
okay.
Yeah,
Can we make new highs? Do you have an alternate count for new highs, Grega?
You mean for new highs?
Like all-time highs, Dale?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, actually, if, as I said earlier, I'm tracking a complex correction from the highs. So at some point, I think that, yes, again, we could be turning towards these levels again. But as you know, I don't want to predict something too far into the future.
One step at a time.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see if 4,000 is retested. If we break higher, then I think that we are going to see more upside towards the end of the year.
All right.
And
yeah. Well,
with the recent turn down on the US dollar, I think that this makes much easier play for the long side on stocks at this moment.
The everything rally.
Yeah. Thank you, Grega, and I appreciate that. And just so everybody knows, Grega, you know, he does our analysis for the Elliott Wave analysis in ForexAnalytix. So if you use ForexAnalytix, you get his analysis of 30 different products on a daily basis. He's updating. Plus, he jumps in our chat rooms from time to time, especially if he's got something that he wants to share with us. He jumps in the chat room and is with us. And guys, this is like the ForexAnalytix community. If you want to know what ForexAnalytix is, this is the application, okay, that you get that has live, you know, data, live news feeds, like, you know, a lot of different tools, you know, like risk management tool. I use this tool all the time, but analysis on all of these different products, and plus you get a mobile app. Like the mobile app, we just did an update for it. We've had a mobile app now for what, 5 years, four or 5 years. But the heartbeat of ForexAnalytix is really the community, and it's everybody that's in this community. So here's the general chat room. You've got the macro chat room, news and research room, the trades room, which I showed you guys earlier, and then we have a Spanish chat room as well. So you guys make sure you check out ForexAnalytix.
You get the chat rooms on the app?
You do. They're in the app, but it launches through a well, I use an iPhone, so it launches through a Safari platform. But guys, cool. I'm going to tell you this right now. For what we charge at $120 a month, it's actually $119. There is no other company that gives you this much for that little. And all of this information is on your mobile device, and you get updates when we update, you know, new analysis, patterns in play. And those are ideas that the team's thinking. You know, all this is updated to you. So you're not going to find the level of quality and the level of technical stuff that you're going to receive for the money that you pay. And so we'll all see you guys with the ForexAnalytix team. Try it out. It's $1. All right. I know we got to pass it over to Miad, who's here. Yeah. He's great to listen to. Make sure you guys all stick around. Dale, thank you so much. Ryan, Kman, thank you guys for always being on the Flow Show. If you guys don't catch those guys in European hours, you should, because they broadcast every day with Stelios. And Stelios, thank you for being here as always. All right, team, have a great one.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, crew, for what you do, because every morning without you, I'd be blue. All right.
Man, that's great. I'm always waiting at the tip. I'm sitting at the edge of my chair waiting for what you have to say, Dale. It's always,
I didn't even know that.
Awesome.
I never know what I'm going to say.
Right,
anyway, so Miad, welcome back to F.A.C.E, bro. How are you? I'm glad you could make it, and it looks like you were able to do it on a device. Hi, Miad.
How are you, Dale? Thanks for having me again. Hi, everybody. Hi, Kman.
Yeah.
Hi, Ryan.
Yeah.
Hi,
Things are
Miad.
hap-
You all right?
I'm all right. Cheers. Man, it is absolutely scorcher today. I'm not
Yeah,
built for
lovely.
this weather.
Do you have air
beat.
conditioning, Miad, at your house?
Yeah,
Any
well, I'm
air
not at
con-
the house. I'm at the office, and we
Oh,
don't have that here. No,
okay.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're feeling the heat of the day. How about the heat of the markets? Are you able to share your screen and kind of give us some looks of what you're thinking here?
Unfortunately, due to the fact that I tried to message you earlier, I have some complications with the iMac
Okay.
currently, so I wasn't able to prepare that. So I had to jump
Okay.
in with my phone. No screen
Why
time
don't
for
I
me.
just bounce around a few charts and
Please do.
tell me what you're thinking? I mean, the ECB this week.
It is
any-
indeed. So yeah.
You think that we're going to recapture 103.5, and this will then look like a false breakdown and perhaps a new uptrend developing in euro?
Well, I think that would surprise absolutely everybody from a macro sphere. If you look at a big picture, it's that cheap. We didn't have euro this cheap since I've started trading. And when you go looking back in your charts, you really have
20
to zoom
years.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some brokers don't even show you
20
that
years
anymore.
ago, what were you? 5?
Good try.
In kindergarten. Anyway, I was getting my first social security check. So anyway, so you think it'll surprise you? You know, the DSI numbers have been real one-sided. I mean, readings under 10,
Yeah.
meaning 90% bears in euro.
Yeah.
Could this just be some short covering in front of the ECB because people are talking about the possibility of a 50% hike?
To me, it is. To me, it seems like market is pricing a bit more bullishness from the ECB. But big picture, what I have on my mind, I think everybody else is thinking the problem with energy isn't resolved just yet. That's what really wasn't helping Europe. Oil prices went up too high. The gas supplies are really dwindling. And we're possibly going into the winter where it's short of supply. That's not really helping. The charts made the rounds where German surplus dwindled and German trade surplus actually turned negative at some point. So all of the things that was good for Europe and the euro all of a sudden isn't there anymore. And for me, it doesn't really mean, I think like we have this rainbow pattern where it goes up and it peaks and then just comes down and down without any end. I think one
you're
handle
still long-term bearish. You have any downside targets? You like
I like
of 80?
Yeah, I like 96 initial target. 80 sounds good as well.
96. Okay.
I'm really more. I'm gonna change my stance on dollar or euro USD once I see the Fed changes it as well. Right now they're in an environment where they are really tightening, and they really don't want the liquidity that far around. So that's my thinking with it. Initial targets I had, I was actually 120. So once it then rapidly broke past that, obviously parity wasn't far away. Quite the move, again, very historic. I was watching it I think it was Monday morning, it finally broke parity. We all on Twitter, we're glued to our screens like we're watching some historic moment. It was incredible.
Yeah, the parity guys had it for about an hour. So, okay, that's your view on euro. Anything different in cable? And let me just kind of show you this formation I have. I think Elliotticians would call this an ending diagonal. I call it 3 drives to a bottom. It's trying to come out of here. You have any different view on the UK?
On the cable? UK, and again, the level in a free drive, they're very effective. It will give you the bounce. I'm quite confident it will, specifically as it's so stretched and oversold. But I still have 160 on the docket for the cable. The leadership challenge.
Miad?
Yeah, that's 1.16, 160.
Okay, got it.
In the UK, I mustn't have escaped you. We have the leadership challenge. And we're not sure which leader will actually cut taxes, which one won't. There's a technical difficulty of actually cutting tax if you even go into office. So there's a bit of a push and pull into that. Cable has got you might have seen this in 2014 and 15 before they even had that Brexit call coming up. Cable has the nature of going to the different wrong direction for longer than anybody can stay solvent before actually going where it's supposed to go. So I remember, I think it was 2015, around summertime. Back then, David Cameron said, okay, we're going to have a Brexit vote the following year. Yeah, cable went down 50, 60 pips, and then straight 300-400 pips just went up. And then from there on, there was no turning back. Straight 3,000 pip dive. So you tend to see that in cable quite a lot.
Yeah, so if you could see my charts, a pretty big range here. It looks like this would be new historic lows, wouldn't it? If we took out 114.
One of the better things with the UK is the energy crisis is a bit more contained, much smaller country, obviously, than Europe. Plus, we get loads of gas from Norway. What Norway does, they just take up the prices. They still be able to supply UK, as far as I can see. They're just charging more. But with Europe, there's going to be possibly the issue where they won't be even able to get the supply in time, which is obviously a different challenge altogether. And
some of the commodity currencies, Aussie had a much better structure on the weekly. This is a corrective. This is actually a monthly, and compared to the euro, where it took, making new lows. So the Aussie looked more like corrective, and it's trying to turn higher on the month. And we've, we're back inside of this wedge. Any view on this? Could the commodity currencies be the precursor for a top in the dollar if they follow through to the upside and break out? Aussie and USD CAD was rejected pretty good over 131.
Yeah.
Shook out a lot of bears. You have a different view on commodity currencies?
I think in the short term, the way that copper is moving is really helping the entire commodity complex. China is really helping a lot with what they're doing with infrastructure. They're trying to build bridges everywhere, whether they use them or not. It's really indifferent. But they are spending. That's obviously helping Australia quite a lot. Big picture, me and you, we tend to look at the ISM numbers to gauge what the business cycle we are in, and it's not getting stronger. So if Aussie builds a 500-600 pip rally from here, I'd be extremely surprised. I understand why it bounced. I fully get it. I'm fully supported in it. But if this starting turning into a trend, I'd be hugely surprised, considering that we are actually in a slowing economic cycle. And the question is now, recession this year or next year? This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about the rebound. So I'd be very surprised if it ends up building on this beyond September.
Is the Fed going to go full percent next week? I think is the Fed meeting. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Next. Right. We're going the 1% move. I think they can do it. Whether they do it or not is going to be more dependent if they get the entire vote on. I think they will do it, but I think the vote might possibly not be fully unanimous, which could cause the dollar to wobble a lot if it's not unanimous. But I think they will do it. They will very likely do it in this environment. They do this every single before we head into a recession. They just drive up those interest rates so they can cut it again from a higher level. Plus, with the way inflation is going, it makes much more sense to have that cushion, I should say.
Okay, do you think the BOJ is, we're starting to come off a little bit marginally compared to the huge run? I mean, this was the move of the year.
It was incredible. Yeah, I love it.
What do you do with it here? I mean, do you try and top pick this thing, or you just wait to buy a pullback in US dollar yen?
Yeah, I think that's the direction I had. I preferred more upside. I think 140 for me, from a technical perspective, was kind of, this is where level you want to reach. And beyond that, but I still don't think that's the end, because the same policy that is causing yen to weaken, the same policy is still getting implemented. And I haven't seen them budging. They're not budging. Their CPI isn't picking up for them enough to budge, if that makes sense. I don't know how Japanese inflation isn't picking up with oil prices this high, but somehow they manage not to have any inflation in that country. Kudos to them. But it also means the Bank of Japan will fully support the yield curve targeting. So they keep printing really yen to just buy the government debt, and that's causing yen to weaken quite a lot.
Do you think they're getting concerned about these levels and consider an intervention just to, buy time?
Yeah. In my experience, they talk about intervention, but they only do intervention when there's one or two drivers behind them. So what could actually help yen here? There's two things that can help yen from a market perspective. I don't think they will ever fight the market in terms of intervention, when the market is aggressively selling. I don't think they will start buying into that. I think they will wait until the market is extremely vulnerable, very stretched on the end positioning. They will wait until yields come down at least 2 or 3%. I'm talking about US yields, maybe 100,
Yeah, here's the
150
10-year,
points.
right? Here's the 10-year, buddy, if you could see
Here's
it.
the 10-year. So I will think that we're going to wait for that 10-year to kind of top out, start rearing and coming back down. They will wait till the end position gets extremely one-sided, and then if they ever intervene, it's going to be at that point, and they're going to get connected with other central banks as well. So it has its maximum effect. I don't think they're going to go in there on their own and start supporting the yen. I don't think that's going to be.
They would need the Fed.
Yeah, they want the Fed, and they want to be. If they do it, they want to do it properly.
Right.
If you remember, some very similar we had. Now I'm diverging, but it's a different market in the oil market. So oil was going higher and higher. And then the US government talked about releasing some of the SPR. And they kept talking about it, and oil kept going higher. Eventually, market forces even out. And oil came down good 15, 20 quid, $20 on the barrel. And then all of a sudden they announced the SPR release. Oil was already coming down. And then it came down another $30 or $40. That's what they tried to do. They tried to get on that momentum and then just use that instead of just trying to fight it all on their own.
Knowing that you're looking for some recession, whether it's this year or next year, are you still bearish S&Ps, or do you think they're going to squeeze some shorts between now and the fall?
S&P 500, funny enough, I'm bullish at this point. We had 20% bear market. I've started adding to, and now that's with trading without the stop loss, because that's the portfolio. I've started adding the S&P 500s again. The only bad thing for me as a UK investor is buying S&P 500. My currency depreciated quite a lot. So a few months ago, I could buy $1, a pound. For $1, I would get 120, 130 just a few months ago, and that kind of crashed. So I'm getting less stocks for my money now. But long term, I really like it here. 20% is good. Can it drop another 5% maybe? But we like S&P 500 around these levels for upside. Love it a lot, actually.
How about new highs, buddy? By this year, could that happen?
Maybe we get a Santa rally. And a lot of people will come out there. A lot of people will come out and say, well, all of these other currencies, they kind of that they're moving in tandem with S&P 500. And you're right, you're right. It's just the magnitude. I think S&P 500 can go upside is way more than any FX pair will able to relinquish as well. So
but it would welcome a weaker dollar, don't you believe? The market would. I mean, they're talking about the currency translation on the multinationals hurting earnings. So that would be a tailwind for it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so
certainly exciting times.
What are you telling your metalheads that are very disappointed with what's been happening in gold and silver? What are you telling them? I think
you want that recession to really start biting, where it's a point of no return. Then that's where you're going to see a gold bit coming back in. But we're not at that stage yet. We're still at this stage. Are we 2 quarters away? At any point, we're still 2 quarters away from a recession. I think you want to be at a point where we're a month away, and that's when that's worth buying back into gold. Until then, I don't see a bottom for it. It can easily crack 16, in my opinion.
Okay, I'm going to show your website now, buddy. So this is where you could get a hold of me at, and you have any kind of trials that people could check out your stuff. I know you've been a fixture in the FinTwit world, gosh, for as long as I've been around using it. So here's Miad. He has
so what I do, Dale, and everybody who's listening in, I've started this in 2017, mainly because I felt like there's not enough people explaining why these bigger moves happen in the FX market. How can you get positioned? And sometimes even on a daily basis, we got sentiment driving, 20, 30 pips, you can make use of that. That's what I do. So I have a chat room where day to day I explain things and why things move. And I also actually share live my trades, how I trade them, with the stop loss, with the positioning. sometimes how to add to the position, sometimes why I should cut the position, talk a little about psychology, and just try to marry these together. Most recently, because FX volatility hasn't been that favorable, I've added Bitcoin as well. I really like it because of the volatility. There's always something moving in there. So I've added that as well. Not too much macro analysis on Bitcoin, mostly about level play. But again, it's whatever brings in that income, and I try to instill that. A lot of people are still on the edge if they want to go full-time trading or not. They're going to see a lot of use out of my service because I really explained the steps I took to get into it, and also how to build, a 6-month cushion of income. So when you have a bad month, you're not going to be afraid of things. So that's mostly what I discuss. I'm looking forward to meet all of you.
People ask me, Dale, can I trade for a living with 10K? And I say yes, if you want to live beneath an underpass. So
for
anyway,
sure.
It was great having you, bro.
Likewise, thanks for having me.
I hope you have a great summer, and next time, we could see your technical work because it's elite. It's good stuff, and that I and ForexAnalytix, all the guys, we all root for you, and good hunting the rest of the summer, and I'll get a hold of you on Twitter, and we could get back together in the fall. How's that sound?
I love it. Again, thanks everybody for having me today. Incredible community. Love the work you do, Dale. Been knowing you for years, and you're just getting stronger every time.
You're hired. All right, bud.
Thanks,
Miad. My trading warrior brother, Miad. So that's a wrap.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, that's a wrap, and you could join the team for the Morning Edge in 20 minutes. And remember, the difference between pros and amateurs are pros know how to lose so they have money left to be right with. So don't just count your pips, count your blessings, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Miad, great talking to you, buddy.